So I thought I would go into some detail of human design. So the reason why I like human design is because I don't think any other divination system that's available will go into the detail of human design. I don't think it comes close. When it comes to understanding the complexity of who you are as a person, why you do what you do, why you feel the way that you feel, and basically they have these main centers. So there's a few centers all throughout the human design body chart. And each of these centers have quite a few gates in them. And each of those centers are related to a certain area of your life and who you are as a person, how you think. So obviously there's going to be one up here, so it's very much about how you think. There's one in this sort of sacral, so it's all about those gut instincts. There's one that's around here, so again, it's how you speak and how you, I guess, explain yourself. And then there's a whole bunch of others all throughout. And there's one that's kind of like the heart center, so it's kind of like the center of your emotions and why you feel what you feel. And then, of course, there's the individual gates in those centers. And then those gates are related to a particular part of that center. So you can see it's very complicated. And there's all different types of other things. So there's some particular points that are considered to be very powerful and or helpful in some way. Again, everybody's chart is different. Then, of course, you have channels, and that's where gates line up between the centers. And this can then create a channel of explaining how a person is in that area, or like a particular gift or skill set this person possesses, because it's combining centers. So there's only like a handful of different channels, but a person can have either no channels or a lot of channels. Again, it depends on what gates are highlighted. Now, I know this may not make a lot of sense, but like, I'll just give you an example. Let's just say there's the sort of mouth or throat center, and then there's the heart center. So these two are just near each other. So let's just say one of the gates connects to one of the gates here. That then, when those two line up and they're both highlighted, that then creates a channel. So that means your ability in that area, and again, it'll be more specific than this, your ability in this, basically, you're able to speak what you feel. It's a strong gift of yours. Again, it will be particulars, because there's all different gates even in these two centers, and they will both have, they will all have their own individual unique communication and feeling skills. There are people who either have a lot of gates highlighted, and there's some people who have no gates highlighted. There's some that can have a gate that duplicates twice. One is conscious and one's unconscious. And again, this can mean that in this area you're aware of this skill that you have, or this challenge, or again, whatever it looks like, or you're not aware yet. They also have it set up similar to astrology. So there's like Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, whatever. So again, it helps you understand how these particular centers are going to affect you in those particular areas. So just for an example, let's just say you've got one of the gates highlighted in the mouth, or in the throat one, and it's highlighted in your sun sign in the conscious area. It means that you are consciously aware of this particular part of your speech, or what you talk about, or what you say. You're highly aware of it. You know its existence, and you know how to do it. You know what to do with it. Again, it gets more complicated than that, but it's a good understanding and explanation as to what that does and why it does what it does. So it's important to understand, I think. Then there's also like projectors and generators, again, manifestors. There's all these different ones, and that determines what gates you're probably going to have highlighted, at least a few of them, and what sort of direction you need to go. So you can see it's a very complicated process, and I think a lot of people are daunted by it. But I think when it comes to understanding yourself, understanding why you might do what you do and why you might feel how you feel, I just don't think anything comes close to it. So if you really wanted to understand yourself, that's definitely the avenue to go down. That's definitely the reading to get. I haven't set up a full human design reading, because I feel like I'll put that as one of my advanced readings because it is going to take me a lot of time to explain. But I think, it can run in themes, it can be summarized, or again, it can be made into strong detail. It just depends on what people want. So maybe I can find a way to do like a shorter version where I sum things up, and then one that's more extended and advanced. That could be the way to go. But I think it's a really fun one, and it's really fun because it will help you know yourself better than like I said, I don't actually think you could possibly know yourself more than using human design. Astrology is good, and it will help you understand a lot of yourself, but not to this depth. Numerology is the same. It will help give you some pretty good pointers, but not to this depth. And that's probably why I like human design as much as I do, but I know that's not something I've had as many people be as willing to explore. So I'm trying to find ways where I can do it in a fun way. I did go into some detail at TikTok explaining what some of the gates are like and what they represent, but it can sound very general to a lot of people if they don't understand, like, again, if you don't know where it's placed, whether it's your sun sign or your Venus, whatever, like it can sound very general in that regard, and you don't quite know where to apply it. But I can't describe that unless I see a person's chart. So I know where everything is and why it's placed where it's placed, and then I can go into more detail. So it's a harder one to, I think, identify with because it is such a complex system. But it is one that I hope in time people will, I guess, feel safe enough with me to know that I can help you understand yourself better than what you've ever been able to, or any of your patterns suggest, or anything you've been through or told by people who know you, or what you've experienced yourself. Like, it can help cut through all of that. So it helps you know, I guess, what your reason for being here is. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty epic when you think about it. Like, numerology is really good for, I think, showing you the direction of like your life's passion. It can't even be your life's purpose. But with human design, it really helps you know your personality. And it's not so much about traumas and wounds as such. It can show you these because it does talk about the shadow and the more high vibration. So it does go through those, but it's very specific in terms of like your particular thought processes, or why you feel the things you do, or what impressions you might get, or your gut instincts, the things that you can see, the things you can't see. So it's one that I think if you really want to make your life easier, you really want to understand yourself on a deep level, that you're not going to be affected or misunderstood or bothered by other people and your interactions, then human design is definitely the way to go. So I guess that's more why I wanted to talk about this here, is the understanding that there's nothing to be afraid of. And if it is something you're interested in, I will get that up and going so that people can dive in and enjoy it, because I think it's one that could really help just the everyday general human being understand why they're here and what they're supposed to do with it and what their strengths are. Because the channels are really good at helping you understand what your strengths are. Like, because there's only going to be a handful of them, you know what I mean? It really cuts it down to the grit, of what makes you you, and what types of things, push you. Like, if you want, I can share one of mine. It might help. So I have what's called a power channel. Now, when I read that, I kind of laughed because it's so obvious, and it confirmed all the things that I sort of knew but didn't know, if that makes sense. So a power channel is somebody who's able to, like, they have the strength and the willpower to get whatever it is they need to get. And it doesn't matter how many setbacks I have to face. It doesn't matter what types of things get in my way. Basically, with the power channel, I will push through anything. Nothing is going to hold me back. And I've often had that type of language. I use that language on a regular basis. It this has been hard, but it's not going to stop me. That kind of, I say that sort of stuff all the time, and it's obvious. And I think people who know me, they know that I have tremendous power. You can see it, you can feel it, and you're in my presence. You're aware of it. I bet you can even feel it through the video. So that's why I think it's so good. I've also got what's called a talent channel. So this is the ability to, I guess, bring resources in a creative, talented way, or I guess to create ideas, patterns, this kind of stuff. I'm able to bring that into existence. So again, it shows when you look at some of these, your ability then becomes easier to understand what it is you're here to do and why you're here to do it. And it helps point you in that direction to get excited about it. You know what I mean? Like to really get into it and to show your abilities and your talents. So I hope people get more into it, because I think it's going to be so much fun, and it's going to help people so much. So I hope that was helpful and interesting, and that you kind of had some understanding a little bit by what I described, and hopefully I'll see one of you guys or a few of you guys for human design readings, and I'll see you for the next video where we talk about more spirituality stuff.